Mid last week, where I recognised some patches on the greens that was sort of initially just wasn't too sure what it was. We'd done some spraying around the green surround, so I actually thought it might have been some sort of tracking that we had from the herbicide. But looking into it further, I realised that there was no further, wheel tracking and so on. So I put that out the way. Then I left it a day and noticed there was more and more of these spots coming up. So I was trying to think at this time of year what sort of diseases we would expect. There's a number of issues that we could have had, but to eliminate all those chances, I got someone out to give us a test on it. That way eliminated all other possibilities. That way we could do a single application of a specific fungicide for that specific disease, and I wouldn't need to go out later on and I knew what the disease was, that I'd be able to treat it straight away. I gave Ben Miller a call from Living Turf and rang him up and said, look, I've got some patches on my greens. If you're around, can you come out and have a look? He did really well. He wasn't anywhere near the golf course. He dropped what he was doing and come straight out and had a look. And we discussed it for a while, looked at different options and temperatures, soil temperatures and things like that. So in the end, we just decided, let's not guess about it, let's get a test done. And so we sent it away to the lab and got it professionally tested.
Firstly, we take a photograph of the way the sample was presented for you, what we received, these plugs. We described the symptoms, and it's not easy to see them in a photo, but you could see browning and stunting. The root length in this sample was much less than it should be, only between 3 and 7 centimetres. So we have a skilled microscopist who is trained to be able to take particular sections and find where these things might be. She'll take sections of leaves, she'll take sections of roots. So we actually photograph the little greebly at work, and you'll see here the characteristic spores of Pythium, which have a double cell coat around them, and they're very spherical, slightly oval in this case, some of them. And then the short, irregular branched hyphae is very characteristic of Pythium.
So after the disease diagnosis was made and the disease came back as Pythium, the product that was selected was Banol. Banol's a Pythium specific product. It moves upwards in the plant, so we spray it out, water it into the root zone, the roots take it up and move it through the plant to give us control of Pythium. It is a Pythium only fungicide, and it's one of the best fungicides for Pythium control. We found this Pythium patch disease in the autumn, which is very unusual. Usually Pythium's associated with hot, humid weather, and the unusual weather we're seeing around the country is leading to unusual patch diseases occurring at different times.
We stopped it as quick as we could, because we do know that Pythium can just take over a green overnight. Not so much in these conditions, but certainly summertime. There's plenty of stories out there where Pythium can wipe a green overnight. We knew we had a bit of time on our side because of the cooler temperatures and there was no humidity, so we were a little bit more comfortable than what we would have been in the summertime. During the summertime, we can get Pythium quite often. We certainly do a heavy preventative fungicide program for Pythium during the summertime. These days, superintendents are always watching their budget. Even a closer eye as the general manager, he's always watching you as well, watching how much you spend. So, we simply can't afford to go out and spray products that we're not too sure if it's right, if we're treating the proper, whether it's a weed or a disease. So we have to make sure that application we make is spot on. Applications for the site out here on these greens, you're looking at nearly $1,600 for a fungicide application. We simply can't afford to, spend twice that price to try and hit something that we're not too sure we're going to hit. A disease test would only cost, $300. It's so cheap. It's as opposed to paying, $3,300 for 2 applications of a fungicide when you're not too sure you're going to hit it. So you spend that initial $300, get the disease test, and then you'll spend the $1,600 on that specific product for that specific disease. It just makes sense.
I think this highlights how the golf course manager, the supplier and the analytical laboratory can work together to get the best outcome when trying to diagnose problems like this. When we get unusual diseases in unusual conditions, it's easy to make assumptions on what that disease might be, which ends up in the use of the wrong product, waste of money, time and effort. But in this case, through that process that everyone's gone through, we've got the correct diagnosis, used the correct product, disease is under control, and we've maintained good turf quality.